All right, so we'll have a look at the deck list for our round 2 matchup coming up in just a moment. I may have misremembered, because it's Leona, baby! Leona going to be on stream.
I do love Leona. I said this to you earlier. I think I'm maybe one of the few players with a negative win rate into Leona. I've never beaten it. And I think with set 2, it only gets better. You have the Wonk, which is absolutely insane, or a Pete that is a stun. Stun is so much fun in this game. It absolutely just cuts out the might that the unit would be able to deal, and you still get to deal might to it. It can just basically send them back. You also see like really cool Emperor's Divide, but I'm going to watch that Silicorn Herder, I think, to see if it can draw the cards it needs.
Yeah, these are honestly just domains, at least in this combination, that we just do not see. We see a lot of Khan, right? Aurelia running around the place, see some Yasuo sometimes, see some Ahri is a reasonably represented deck often. And we know kind of what the toolbox of those cards do, things like Zhonya's, GA, not so fast, all these new tools added. And, you know, we don't see that much order. Victor really is the one that runs the order. And Leona's not running any cards that Victor wants to run. It's all Leona cards, right? There's 3 Zenith Blade in the main deck there, really trying to leverage Leona's legend ability. Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting to see if they can do it in a way that brings them the win. I will say the one leader that has a similar color scheme, unless my colorblindness is like making me completely forget, Azir, green and yellow. Absolutely love him. Obviously, there are some huge differences. Azir's running a lot more gears. This one's going for a lot more stuns, but it is the same domains.
All right, we'll see what's on the other side then, because everything I know is a lie, and that's not anyone's fault but my own. Who's on the other side? It is
Leona.
No shot we're playing a mirror. We are playing a Leona mirror in round 2 of the regional qualifier.
But they're completely different.
They are completely
Leonas.
different.
The other
Leona
one
lists.
was built more around that stun package that comes with Leona herself, and this one with baited hook, which we've seen a little bit in Darius. We saw a little bit in Fiora. In China, I think there was like a baited hook in the finals in one of the regional opens over there. And now in Leona, I'd love to see it do well.
This is going to be such an exciting matchup. I mean, Baited Hook, definitely a very unique card, a very powerful card. We'll talk more about that as we get into the games themselves. But big differences here, much bigger units that the Leona deck wants to play. Really trying to take advantage of the Hook to effectively cheat on some costs. Think about the thing Aurora does, where you play this big gear, but once you play it, you get to basically put very, very big units into play for free. Hook needs to do a little more work to get to that point, but the end result is roughly the same. You're trying to go from a smaller to mid-range thing to a significantly bigger thing.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they're able to pull it off. I mean, there's a lot of really cool units in this deck that could lead into it. I'm looking at that Harnessed Dragon. That could be cool. It's basically a kill spell. When you play it, you get to kill a unit. We have things like this Green Ornn. We have Yellow Darius, not the Darius you normally see. And I think Tasty Fatefolk was my favorite card of set 1.
Well, there's one here as well, potentially for the Baited Hook to hit, but let's stop the happening once again. It is time to get down to our feature match once more for round number 2. We're here in Las Vegas. LunaNicole is playing Leona Radiant Dawn, and Straw Hat Skaarl is playing, what do you know? Leona Radiant Dawn.
I don't think that it was... You know, I might not have expected a Rumble round 1. I did not expect a Leona versus Leona anywhere in the tournament. 2 different battlefields, but both very interesting ones. Trifarian War Camp is one that affects both people attacking and defending. It is +1 might, and so that's going to be really interesting in figuring out the trade-offs of might and who's going to win. And then also Dreaming Tree, when you target a friendly unit, you get to draw an extra card, and I think Leona had a little bit of difficulty with... A lot of decks had difficulty set 1 with maintaining card resources. Maybe it's going to help a bit.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the calm package that Nicole is playing, very much kind of reminiscent of things like Ahri. So something like Dreaming Tree, which both Aurelia and Ahri, and now Leona apparently, do share as a common bit of DNA, does make a lot of sense. Really utilizing, you know, lots of the stuns, lots of the tricks, lots of the buffs. On the other side, we're playing a Brutalizer on turn 1. We are trying to make some big might numbers, because again, the thing to remember with Baited Hook, you need to care about what might numbers you are going from and to. And equipping your units, especially with something like Brutalizer, which gives 3 might, +1 plus the +2 if you do it that turn, that lets you hook from a very small unit into a very big unit. And that's exactly the kind of resource imbalance you're looking to take advantage of.
Yeah, it's going to be so nice. And you would think with Baited Hook, like having, I think it's kill your unit that has the might would be bad, but we've talked so much about how holding is strong because you don't expect your unit to survive. So you kill the guy, and then you get your new one in base that's still protected. So it does work out. Stellarcorn Herder is going to come down, and this is one of those cards that's just so nice for drawing. Whenever we move, Stellarcorn Herder will draw one, similar to Traveling Merchant, but now we get to draw, not just discard.
Yeah, costs twice as much, but is, I would argue, more than twice as powerful, maybe, especially in the decks that want to move a lot. Obviously, Aurelia loves this card, but in general, I feel like Calm was wanting more options for card draw, and this is one of the most stellar ones and in the game. Lonely Poro, though, going to go ahead and poke around one of the battlefields, maybe?
Ooh, I think Lonely Poro is adorable. I love Lonely Poro, and we will have to watch that Death Knell. It is a draw effect as well. When Lonely Poro is killed, you're able to draw one.
And don't make the mistake I made when I played this. If I died alone. One of the saddest pieces of text printed on a Riftbound card. But Death Knell, if I die alone, draw one.
It's a Lonely Poro. You're not allowed to make it not alone.
Yeah. And Warcamp, by the way, I feel like the Casanova, by the way, big baited hook Fiora enjoyer.
Oh, no.
So sorry that they're missing this match. But I do remember the other thing that Warcamp does for you in baited hook decks is you get might, which doesn't sound all that good because it works for both players. So, kind of in the wash as far as doing the math on the might goes. But when you move a unit there, well, the unit at that battlefield that has more might. And baited hook cares a lot about the might number on the unit. Not printed on the unit, the might number that it has at the time you sacrifice the unit. When Hook gets played, don't worry, we'll bring it up. That's going to be one we are absolutely going to have to read. But Leona is making her appearance from the Chosen Champion zone into the base for Nicole.
Yeah, we get to see that Chosen Champion. Leona is a very nice card, also very fun character to play. Leona determined she does have shield, which we saw a lot of with Rumble, with the Volley Bear, so she gets +1 when she defends. But also, when she attacks, she gets to stun her enemy unit there. The hope is that Leona will have more might than her opponent, and she'll be able to kill it without it killing her.
And of course, that plays into the Leona Legend ability, which, if I remember the text correctly off the top of my head, when you stun a unit, buff a unit.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
So even more might. So a lot of really good numbers that Leona gets to pump out here. A Seal of Unity going to be popped onto the battlefield. Again, baited hook costs a lot of power to run. So triple yellow seal here for Straw Hat Skaarl, which makes a lot of sense. And it's going to be...
Vanguard Captain. Vanguard Captain is a...
Yep.
I believe...
if you Legion, make 2 recruits here.
Exactly. It makes 2. And so by playing that Seal of Unity, honestly, it is such a strong turn to pull off. You get your seal down, which is almost permanent resources. You get to also spin the Vanguard Captain power that and get more and more units.
Yeah, very Victor coded here, playing a Vanguard Captain to Etrafray and Warcamp. That's a lot of extra might spread across. But it's time to raid Baited Hook because it has been played. A 3 energy gear, pay 1 and a power exhaust this. Kill a friendly unit. That doesn't seem like a very fun thing to do. But if you do so, you look at the top 5 cards of your main deck. You may play a unit from among them that has might up to 1 more than the killed unit, ignoring its cost. Then recycle the rest. Yeah,
and that is so nice. And it doesn't matter too much bringing one off the battlefield to kill because you've already gotten the point. Exactly. And that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I think especially things like Vanguard Captain, right, already made 2 extra recruits that it left behind. You really want things that either do things when they enter the game, when they leave the game, or if you're really lucky, both. Because you are going to constantly be kind of bouncing units between zones with things like Baited Hook. And then again, when you equip, when you're at the Warcamp, when you can make things bigger, you can kind of go from a very small might unit like a 3 all the way to something else. In fact, let's just do a little bit of math right now on stream. Vanguard Captain's currently at 3 might. Brutalizer would be 4 for the Warcamp, excuse me. 4 from the Warcamp, +3 from the Brutalizer on the same turn it's attached. That's 7. So if you activate Baited Hook, sacrificing your Vanguard Captain after you do all those steps, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can pull a unit that has cost, is it might? It's up. It matches might. So might 8 or less. Because up to 1 more, and then you look from that top all the way down. And you get to play it ignoring its cost. That seems quite good.
Yeah, it seems really nice. Or you could even do these smaller units, like the recruits that were free to play in the first place. There are 2 in the Trevelyan Warcamp. Imagine you hit another Vanguard Captain and it makes 2 more.
Yeah, or if you get the Brutalizer, you can now look for a 6, right? Because it's 5 might plus the one that Hook goes. So the word's ignoring its cost, as we've learned from things like Hook and Aurora. Very powerful piece of text to put on a Riftbound card. But we are back to the other side. Sorry for the Baited Hook tutorial. Hope you all enjoyed it here. As Nicole going to go ahead and pop a Zenith Blade onto the board. It is time to do one of the coolest things in Riftbound. This spell is so sick.
Yeah, Zenith Blade is an interesting one. We'll have to see what we're able to pull off here. What exactly does Zenith Blade do here?
Let's give it a read, because Zenith Blade has a lot of text on it.
It does.
Action. Stun an enemy unit at a battlefield. Costs 2 power, by the way, so you know it's good. You may move a friendly unit to that enemy unit's battlefield. And so stun and move something, basically. Yeah, so you stun a unit at a battlefield. You can then move a friendly unit from your base to that battlefield, and then Leona's going to get an attack trigger when she moves over and buff herself thanks to the legend. So pretty much what happened is Leona's coming in, stunning 2 things, moving for free, still stays ready, and is going to now just try and cut down the things at this war camp, though. So it doesn't matter that there's 4 units on the side here for Straw Hat Skaarl. It doesn't matter they have extra might from the war camp, because 2 of them are stunned and can't do anything in combat.
Yeah, what are they supposed to do there? And that buff from Leona is just going to keep helping her. She is currently a 6-might unit here at the Trefarian War Camp, so she could kill a good number of Straw Hat Skaarl's units.
Yeah, 2 4s and 2 2s is kind of the way to look at it here. 2 3-might units plus 2 1s, giving +1 to the war camp, because again, math is mathing. Only 6-might, as you pointed out from the war camp there, so gonna do the math and take out 2. Not gonna take any damage, but does have to go back to base, because I don't know if you know this, and I had to learn this very early on playing against the Leona. If you are the attacker and move into a stun battlefield, the stun units win the combat if they're left. So the attackers get kicked out, but the good news is, because Zenith Blade doesn't ready you to move, you can just go straight back in.
At least, yeah, that is so nice, and they'll potentially activate a kill here this time. We get another stun, and stuns do last throughout your turn. So we could potentially stun one, left it there stun, and now we can come in, hopefully not get dealt too much damage, and take the battlefield. It looks like exactly what's going to happen. And Trefarian War Camp is definitely a nice one to hold.
So a very Yasuo-coded thing. I should probably stop saying X-coded things on stream. Here for Leona. Moved in for free with the Zenith Blade. Got kicked out thanks to all the stuns, but still stunned a couple units moving in. Moved back in, stunned another unit because of the attack trigger, and then cleaned up the entire battlefield. And because 2 stuns happened, 2 buffs happened. So Leona's got a buff, and that little lonely Porro is not so lonely now. Got a buff as well on the Dreaming Tree.
He's going to have to stay lonely, though, if he wants to draw a card. But, yeah, I mean...
Worth it. Stay there.
Stay up there in the Dreaming Tree. But he will be 3 might if Straw Hat does want to come up into that Dreaming Tree. No units on board right now, though, which is pretty nice for our other Leona players.
That was such an efficient use of Zenith Blade to clear an entire battlefield. Again, quite a bit of complexity there with lots of different triggers and readying and moving back, or moving and still being ready to go back in. But the end result is wiping your opponent's board and giving your unit some extra stats while holding 2 battlefields and scoring some points. So 3 points to 1, feeling pretty good. And we are going to go into the baited hook mode in just a moment, because that lonely Porro, I have to tell you, it's going to die alone.
It is about to die alone here. It is currently, though, a 5, meaning we can look for a unit up to 6 might. And let's see what happens. We are going to have to read the text a little bit about baited hook, but I don't think many of us practice too much against baited hook.
Depends how much your testing group might be cooking, I suppose.
But or how much they really like.
We're going to look at 5. I see a 3. What else do we have? I see another baited hook. That's not something you can bust out of the top of your library, unfortunately. I see a seal, and the selection is going to be... Oh, that's a Darius. That's not so bad. Your lonely Porro drew you a card and made a Darius.
Yeah, not so bad at all. And the rare yellow Darius is going to come into play here. Let's see what they're able to do with it, though.
Do you like what's happening here? Again, a nice way to answer back here. Have a quick read of Darius in the order domain, because again, don't think we expect to see too much yellow Darius today. So this one, we know what direct one does. We saw it a lot in Origins there out of Kai'Sa. This one costs 6, is 6 might, which is works out pretty nicely. Legion, when you play me ready me, well, we've certainly done that, having to play that lonely Porro. And other friendly units have +1 here wherever I am. And as you kind of noted, there's a lot of things that make additional units that do extra things when you're going in and out of the battlefield. So things like Vanguard Captain, which is a card Victor loves. Victor would probably play this card if it was reasonable for him to cast. But in a baited hook Leona deck, much easier to put in play. And now we're going to go ahead and challenge the poor lonely Porro on the Dreaming Tree.
Yeah, 6 versus 3. I think this Darius is going to take the win here on the showdown. We do have 3 runes here, though, on Luna's side, so there could be some different spells, but it looks like the Porro will die. We're going to get a draw off of that as well, and sad, lonely Porro.
Well, you know what? You get something when your poor, precious Porro does perish. You at least get a card at the end of it all.
That is true. So it's not so sad for the user, but it is going to decrease how many units we have on board. At least we still have the Leona on the other side. We are going to play Leona as well to our base, and it looks like we will be passing.
Yeah, nice little rebuild here, just playing Chosen Champion. Again, you saw how good Leona was early on for Nicole. Have to think if you're playing a Leona deck, it's going to be a similar story here, even if the decks are very different. So you're going to hold to 4 points here. Currently ahead by 2 in the race, which is a pretty good spot to be. But Darius, of course, hanging out with 6 might over there. Probably nothing to really worry about as far as tricks go with all the runes currently exhausted. But still want to make sure you progress the game forward, because you know as every turn this hook goes, your opponent is trying to get as maximum value. So generally you want to try and mitigate the activations, because something else is always going to happen. You're never just going to play a unit and not get something. You know, Lonely Power is getting played. It doesn't just transform into a Darius, it also draws you a card. And things are going to get worse once this hook deck can find more and more things to kind of combo together, right? By getting an effect, again, from the unit you play, but also the unit you find on top.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how big these units can get and how well this baited hook works in Leona. I mean, it's Leona versus Leona, but 2 completely different decks. And so interesting to see how different players can pilot, but also craft these different leaders.
I also want to point out, there is a sleeve kind of dangling between the base and the champion zone there for Nicole. I believe that is a hidden card. So at the battlefield there, yep, gonna look at it like it's a little trap, and it is indeed a hidden card there for Leona. Could be Hidden Blade, the most obvious of the hidden cards. Telecon Hoarder gonna actually get played to base, which makes me feel like, oh, actually interesting, just wants to move Leona away and have the Hoarder hold it instead. So still holding up 1, the hidden card's still there as well. So options here for Nicole. We're gonna pass on back and see if she can't hold on to this point at the war camp.
Yeah, let's... Stelicorn Herder is an interesting choice to hold here. It is only 4 might compared to the 6 that Leona had, but hopefully there's some type of stun that could come down, and stuns are really interesting even into these big mighted units, and I think that's something to watch for. Obviously, Leona's very built to stun. Leona Chosen Champion itself is, I think it's when attack stun.
Yes.
So if any of these units come up into the Trifarian War Camp, even if, let's say, they were multiple times larger than Stelicorn Herder, if Luna can stun it, it can't deal damage, and as you mentioned earlier, will just be bounced back into its base. Okay,
well, Straw Hat Skaarl, I talked about, wanting to get value out of your baited hook. It is Value Town USA right now. Unsung Hero. When it's a little unit, only a 2 might unit, but if it's mighty when it dies, you get to draw 2 cards. Well, Brutalizer, 2+3 as it turns out when you attach. That's 5, so you have a mighty unit. It goes away. You get a Glass Mixologist off the top of your deck, finding a 5 might unit with another Death Knell that helps you kind of recur cards back from your graveyard. And all of a sudden, you are, turned your little 2-drop into a 5-drop and 2 cards.
That is really, really nice. Very unsung hero, and definitely the hero of the turn. It is going to make it now up to 11 might up in the streaming tree, which is just so much.
Darius also giving 1 more as well to units that are here with him. So it's 12 total, I believe. I don't think Darius buffs himself, and it's going to be Hidden Blade targeted at the Stelicorn Hoarder. Now, you do get to draw cards as the controller of the unit that dies, which has to feel pretty good. But of course, if the Stelicorn Hoarder goes away, that hidden card's going with it.
Yeah, I wonder what the hidden card is, if it is something that could help here. Hidden Blade is battlefield only, but I'm not sure that there's anything that could pull it out of the battlefield.
Ooh.
Oh, it's Zhonya's, though, which does mean Stelicorn Herder will be able to survive this Hidden Blade. It'll be moved back to base. And, I mean, it's just really nice to be able to keep that Stelicorn Herder alive.
Yeah, I think important note, Zhonya's recalls the unit, puts it back to it, which explicitly in the reminder text says this isn't a move, which is very important for this exact case with Stelicorn Herder. So you don't get to draw an extra card. You do get to save your unit. Interesting. Drawing for turn? I might be misunderstanding how the interaction works, but maybe not.
That's okay. Cards are good for it.
Oh, Hidden Blade. There we go. I was
the Hidden
Blade
Blade drew 2.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Everything's above board. Don't you worry. Hidden Blade. Oh, interesting. Hidden Blade still lets you draw the cards, even though it did die. It just got replaced. That is confusing. Yeah,
so it does survive. I mean, it stays alive in the base. We do get those 2 cards, and that is going to be really nice for Leona.
Those effects are not tied explicitly together. The unit doesn't have to die for you to draw the cards.
Exactly.
Which I guess in theory means you could do it to your own unit if you had a Zhonya's.
I was actually interested, like, if it was a hidden Blade, Could they both kill it and then you draw 4?
You might actually. I'd have to.
I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? That's a rules question I'm going to ask in our rounds off, because I'm curious to know, because that would be a fun bit of value to get. Instead, we pass it on back. It is 3 points to fall here, Straw Hat Skaarl. Establishing a pretty nice board, especially in that northern battlefield, but still plenty to go here. Leona back in base where kind of she wants to be. You can see both players actually leaving her back for the exact value you prescribed, where Leona does want to be attacking to get those stun triggers, and that cascades into a whole bunch of fun stuff for Leona to get to do. But right now, it's, I think, 12 might in the top battlefield versus only the 8 we can see right now on base. And as we know, plenty of tricks, plenty of moves, plenty of fun things for Leona here to try and pick apart these battlefields, but do want to do it pretty carefully, especially when your opponent is presenting 2 runes as well.
Yeah, and 2 can just be so many things, a little bit less in green and yellow, but still a lot that it could be as an answer. It does look like Guardian Angel is going to get played. Guardian Angel is very similar to Zhonya's, except that as a gear, it attaches directly to a unit. So Zhonya's only bad thing is that it's the next unit that gets killed, but because GA is attached to one specifically, it's whenever the one you're attached to dies. So you can be much more targeted on which one will end up bringing or recalling back.
Yeah, getting the extra might as well also makes it a bit better on offense, because you can kind of send in, get a stun here from the Leona maybe, trade off with the unit, die, but the GA pops, and then go back to base and go again. I don't see another way to ready or move right now in Nicole's hand. She flashed it very briefly, but there's a lot of spells
I do
in the
think
hand
there's
as well.
Discipline, which could be helpful here.
I think there's also, I think it's Emperor's Call, Emperor's Divide.
There was an Emperor something in the deck list. I do see the card that you're talking about. Not fully.
I'm going to find it.
Okay. But it'll be interesting to see how this happens. Sometimes you would want to maybe play like Discipline early to be able to see what you draw, or make sure it resolves before you bring up a unit that is extra might or would die otherwise. But in this case, because it's Dreaming Tree, we're probably going to want to save these disciplines for when you're actually there, so that you can get the additional draw off the Dreaming Tree.
Okay, going in, stunning the Darius, I assume, and then buffing the Stellacorn here. Emperor's Divide was the card I was thinking of, which is Azir's ultis in League of Legends. In this game, it's an interesting one. It's a hidden card that lets you recall friendly units from a battlefield to your base. So often hidden is kind of a proxy copy of Zhonya's or GA, where you can save your units. It's a bit different, doesn't quite get, maybe not quite as powerful, but kind of does a lot of the things you want it to do. So Discipline, as you noted, is going to come out here, make this Leona even bigger, and draw 2 cards thanks to that text on Dreaming Tree. So it is a stunned Darius and a Glass Mixologist versus a quite large Leona. 4, 5, 6 plus 2. That'd be 8 might right now.
Yeah, it is going to be able to potentially kill either. We stunned one in the Octo Witch, but ouch, Thwonk is going to come down. I actually love Thwonk.
It's a great card.
The name as well is top tier Thwonk. You know exactly what's going to happen. You're stunned.
Yep, Rune Prison, pretty good stun card as far as Leona goes. Thwonk, a little bit better. It's an action. It stuns an attacking unit, but you can repeat it, which when you have some extra resources lying around, pretty good to get 2 copies of the spells. Not so fast, Straw Hat Skaarl.
Not so fast, but that's actually the name of the card that got played as well. Yes, that's another really great name. We got Thwonk, we got Not So Fast. Top tier naming happening in Riftbound here. It is a reaction speed, 1 step up from action itself, and it can counter a spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear. So, Thwonk, you don't get to choose my Leona here. So we are still an 8 versus either 6 or 6.
Yes, it's 2 different 6s, so not going to win out the combat here, because the unit can only deal so much damage. You don't can do extra damage just because the unit's stun. So it is going to be pushed back thanks to how the rules with stun and attacking and defending work. The way to shortcut that in your brain is that defenders win when stunned units are left at a battlefield. So because there was only enough to take out the Darius, which I feel like is the right unit to try and pick off here, Mixologist does get to stay. Stellacorn, though, does get to move on over to the War Camp. Does have a buff, so it's 3 might plus 2 for the different effects that are floating around on it. Draw a card, hide a card, and pretty good times here for Nicole. It's currently at 5 points as Straw Hat Skaarl kind of getting the value, but struggling to really deal with the continuous Leona plays. In fact, it doesn't even seem that bad to get kicked out of your battlefield as Leona, because you kind of want Leona to be in the base anyway.
Yeah, I would say that it's almost a plus to have your Leona in the base, because you want to be attacking with Leona. She does look, like she would defend well, but she actually attacks well. And so being able to bring her back up in and attack your following turn is just so nice. You get that stun off, which as we have mentioned, I think the most times all day, is a really great ability.
Yeah, we'll only mention it in this round. In fact, I don't know how much more stun we are going to see throughout the day, but this is a fascinating little, not mirror match exactly, but I mean a fascinating legend mirror match here. Certainly a fascinating matchup between these two different versions of this deck. Kind of much more standard, good numbers, good tricks from Nicole, and then Straw Hat Skaarl with the baited hook in play, trying to extract as much value as possible. Going to start by equipping this Leona, who again is going to buff when a stun happens thanks to the legend ability, and it's going to be quite a bit bigger than this Stellacorn. But there is something hidden, and today it is Emperor's Divide. Going to save that Stellacorn, and this one is a move. You get to draw a card this time.
We love moving as Stellacorn Herder.
I was drawing cards.
We love drawing cards. And so, yeah, get moved back. We are going to be up to 4 points here, so we are starting to close the divide between points. Potentially try and come back. 5 versus 5, my bad on that. And let's see if Straw Hat can completely bring it back. But Luna still with 2 units. It's not like either have died here.
Yeah, it's a kind of interesting back and forth because even though Nicole's constantly picking off units by sending in the Leona and kind of presenting the tricks, has the GA to kind of reset, maybe go again if you find something like a Zenith Blade to, move the Leona with the stun that's attached to that. I don't know how many other ready effects Nicole is playing in her deck, but certainly there's this interesting pattern of like, well, I can pick off your units quite easily. They're quite vulnerable on battlefields in this matchup because Leona is just so good on offense when she starts stunning things. So, but if you don't kick everyone off, you do get points for holding. So this is kind of ebb and flow of like, I'm going to get points sometimes if I manage to finish the conquer. Even though I'm getting value by picking off your units, I'm not necessarily taking the points away from you. And at the end of the day, the points are the thing that you really have to focus on, especially as you get near the end of it. So 5 apiece as we awaken here for Nicole. And looks like 1 battlefield at least ready to claim here. But is picking off the potential Leona more important as Straw Hat Skaarl has presented 4 open runes here on this turn? Going to be quite a lot to navigate here.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Luna does about the opponent's Leona. Yeah, I do think that there's a little bit of problem with Leona where she's so strong attacking, not good in defending, and then you have that problem, as you mentioned. But in this case, they both have that problem, so I guess it's not as big of a deal. It will be interesting to see if we can find a way to take both battlefields again, try to pull ahead. But it is rough right now. This Leona is at 7 in the bottom battlefield for Trevarian War Camp. Our Leona only at 6. We could bring both in, but then you potentially have your Leona die as well.
So on the math, they both each have a buff and a +1 piece of equipment. So the math checks out that Nicole's Leona is currently going to win the fight because the Leona's battlefield is going to get stunned.
Yeah, for some reason I thought there was an extra +1 on this Leona down here. You are correct.
Not going to get to fight back, and she's okay on defense. Does have shield actually, which you did note earlier. That is actually going to matter if we want to travel to the bottom battlefield on Nicole's side. So instead, it's Circle and Holder take the easy point, going to 6. 6, a number that feels pretty good, and you can maybe hold back here, but I do think trying to clear out this Leona feels relatively important, although it kind of depends. How much danger are you putting your Leona into? It's a BF sword being put into the table now. That is going to give enough might for the other Leona to pop in. And again, with the GA, I think Nicole's not too worried. This Leona can get sent in, threaten to hold for the win at 7 points, and just say, you know what? Deal with this, because I don't think you can.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot to deal with, bringing up +3 from the longsword, the BF sword, and then also the 1 for War Camp. It's going to be so much here for Straw Hat Skaarl to deal with.
Yeah, it's currently 10 on 7, I believe, if we factor in the War Camp. 6+1 versus 9+1. Send in the Leona. Stun your unit. Buff nothing, sadly. There's nothing that's unbuffed.
Yeah.
We're going to get some extra value, but still going to feel pretty good here. Pass it on over, and there's a Death Grip.
+5 here. It is stunned, so it won't be able to kill our Leona, but it could push us back. And going up to 6 points does not seem good for LunaNicole.
I just love the synergy that's present in this beta hook version of Leona. So Death Grip reaction. I think, oh, never mind.
Ooh,
we're not going to get to the read
though.
because Defy happens. So that would have not only buffed and drawn a card, but triggered the Mixologist, which gets the unit back from your trash into the base. So a ton of value presented on the Death Grip. And Nicole reads the card for 2 seconds like, nah, I don't think so. Defy that one away and try and hold for the win here. Again, 7 points with 2 units on each, 1 unit on each battlefield, threatening to win if Straw Hat Skaarl can't displace these units from their current places.
Yeah, I think Defy is one of those cards with fantastic flavor text. It's exactly what I think when I play Defy. No. I only need 1 word.
Yeah, there's this long-standing term across, I think, a number of different games where spells like this are typically called permission spells. Because when you play a spell, your opponent holding the position spell, you have to ask them permission if it can resolve.
that makes
and
sense.
Defy is simply giving you the answer. No,
No.
you don't have permission.
Actually, no, I love that. That's a really great name for it. This is my first game that has these type of spells in it, so it's very interesting to see. We do have a couple options, though. It looks like I did see Tasty Fate Folk in hand. Tasty Fate Folk does have Accelerate, something to watch out for here to help move in, a unit and potentially wipe LunaNicole's board, but we'll have to see. We are just doing some math as well, looks like, on this Leona.
I just wanted to double extra triple check.
Yeah, it's definitely
On the option.
10 from what I'm reading. 10 with a Guardian Angel, most notably. So even if this Leona is taken out, she's going to be back and available to swing back in to the battlefield. So Straw Hat Skaarl's got quite a task here, and does have a decent amount of runes, but you have to kick both units off the battlefield, either by taking them out or by stunning them, or pushing them away in some way. And after that, you have to make sure you don't get double conquered on. So Leona's likely going to live through this turn because of that GA. So I'm not sure how much Straw Hat Skaarl has to maybe make work here, but I see a Baited Hook. I think I may have Spider Coiled a week. Flicking through the cards very quickly, I'm trying to catch just the tops of the costs. I see the Fey Folk you mentioned, his Glass Mysologist. Going to start in with the simple stuff, I suppose. Rumble on in with the Stellarcorn Hoarder, but again, even one open, there's something like On Guard if Nicole's got that in her list. There are options here still at one, but instead we're going to try, we have to try, right? So we're going to start by trying to take out the battlefield that looks a bit easier to take.
Yeah, and potentially if we can play something to help this unit win, we could draw more cards off that Dreaming Tree. Ooh, Call of Glory. So Call of Glory is an interesting card because not only does it have a cost that is runes, but it can have an additional cost where instead you pay a buff. And Leona has been making the buffs this game. So suddenly we're not just a 4 at Dreaming Tree, we are now a 7.
Much bigger there for Stellarcorn. Protects it there. Call to Glory, one of the few kind of free spells in the game of Riftbound so far, but it's just so sick. You get to take a buff from the other battlefield, so it doesn't even affect your might there. You get to target your Stellarcorn at the Dreaming Tree for the first time ever, so you get to draw a card. There's just so much good value built into this Leona deck. And again, there's a lot more complexity, perhaps a lot more really cool things happening on the Baited Hook side for Straw Hat Skaarl. But in this particular position, when we're trying to kick these units off the battlefield, I mean, Nicole had one rune open. She still has one rune open. Didn't have to use anything to try and protect that Stellarcorn, who's still going to stay that big for the rest of this turn.
Yeah, that's going to be so nice. And there is a second buff if we had like a second Call of Glory or needed it. It does look like we have a Unsung Hero being played again, and we are going to use that Brutalizer to make its might even more to potentially get a really good card off of this Baited Hook. But to note, LunaNicole is at 7 points, meaning Straw Hat will have to clear both sides with whatever he pulls off of the Baited Hook.
For a Harness Dragon, which would have been great, but that's not enough might. Only looking for a 6 here in the top, and there is a couple options. No, it is Harness. Oh, Harness Dragon is a 6. I forgot. It costs 8, but it is only 6 might, which makes sense because getting to kill a unit when you play it is quite a powerful effect. So we wanted to give the Dragon less might, but that is actually perfect for a deck like Baited Hook.
Which one will die, though? If we kill the Leona, it does get off to Brand War Camp, but it will still survive in the base. If we kill the Stellarcorn Herder, it does officially die.
You have to do both. That's the problem. Both units need to leave these battlefields here. Otherwise, Nicole's going to take game 1 in what is starting to become kind of a tight one. In fact, never mind, Straw Hat Skaarl decides I did that much. That looked pretty good, but I could not take both battlefields. Nicole going to win game 1 on her, let's call it regular Leona.
I like it. I did see like Straw Hat did potentially have a way to do. He had a second Harness Dragon in hand, but I saw him count his runes, and I must not have had enough to play a second one. So we are going into game 2. It's going to be a little bit different. That Obelisk of Power for ramping up runes, but also Arena's Greatest to ramp up the speed of our game.
Very interesting that Arena's Greatest would be something that Hook would want to go for, but I guess in general, you're trying to do kind of a lot of powerful things in a somewhat condensed timeline, right? I think in general, games that go really late, unless you have like a big engine building, can maybe be tough to crack through. So I think trying to win a little bit faster, because you are generally deploying things far ahead of schedule, right? Much like Aurora, when you get the things down, you flip a big, Harness Dragon that's got 6 might and kills something when it comes into play. If you do that on like turn 3, let's say, that's very ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insane. You would clear a board and get that huge might unit down. There's so many options with this Baited Hook, and it's so cool to see it paired with the equipment.
Yep. Yeah, I think Spiritfold adding a lot to the Baited Hook decks here. Brutalizer especially giving so much might for so little investment. Just 2 for the gear itself, plus it's free to equip. I mean, you have to recycle a room, but you have to pay resources, let's say, and just giving so much on the attach, which is really the only time it matters. Baited Hook actually a pretty cool deck in that you get to move your equipment around a lot. Typically when you equip equipment, it stays on until the unit goes away. But this deck is trying to take its units away. So you get a lot of additional value there, as Obelisk going to channel an extra one here on turn 1. Straw Hat Skaarl, I believe, did remember the Arena's Greatest. Ooh. And there's a Vanguard Captain with a seal. That is a real nice opener.
That is such a strong start. Immediately, we get the seal for the Baited Hook. We get the Vanguard Captain with 3 might and 2 1-might units. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely insane. And going first here, it's only possible because that Obelisk of Power, I will mention Arena's Greatest and Obelisk of Power are both triggers that you have to call, and it looks like we're potentially still at 0 for Straw Hat Skaarl.
I did see him point to the card at the start of the game, so I believe the players have remembered their trigger. It may just not be reflected on the overlay, but we'll see what happens. We'll kind of let it play out here. As now could conquer both here, going to go for 1, go for 2. Recruits really good at taking points there, so Straw Hat Skaarl going to start off at 3. It should be at the end of it all, and that's brutal. Call the Week.
Call of the Week is such a strong card. It is 2 and power 1 that we have the seal, so we kind of get to cheat it, but especially when you're making these token units to recruit, that is only 1 might. We didn't really even have to pay for in the first place since Vanguard Captain did it. We can kill one of those, and it's any of the units on Luna's side. Luna, though, only had 1 unit. She had nothing to protect her Leona, and now that chosen champion dead in the trash pile.
Yeah, don't get fooled. I believe there's more than 1 copy of this Leona in the deck, but the one that was from the Chosen Champion Zone, it's kind of floating between the graveyard and the Chosen Champion Zone.
She's trying to crawl back.
That was the one that made it in there. So that one's going to the bin for now. Lonely Poro deployed. Again, quite good in both decks, as it turns out. Fun to see them both utilizing Lonely Poro in such different ways. But already off to a roaring start here for Straw Hat Skaarl. And again, score not currently updated on the screen. Maybe the players, I know the button they have to tap to update the score. Maybe too locked in.
Yeah, who knows? I did see her write something, so I assume.
I believe it's currently 3 points to 1. That would make sense.
Yeah. They both updated.
Oh, 1 from the Arena's Greatest. There we go. We've solved it.
Yes. So we did get that updated to reflect the Arena's Greatest. Let's see.
There's nothing else there for Nicole, just holding up some runes, wanting to try and, this is relatively small units, but wanting to maybe try and fend them off. But here's something bigger. There's Leona out of the champion zone.
I love all the alt arts in this game. They're absolutely gorgeous. Leona, so cute. She looks like a lion, and I absolutely adore it.
That should be to 5 points now, I believe. So held both
after
conquering. So 5 to 1 is the start here for Straw Hat Skaarl. And again, the Arena's Greatest accelerating this game. We're still playing to 8, but it feels more like 7 when we start with the 3 point.
Yeah, you were mentioning how potentially Baited Hook could accelerate and go in, but we didn't even need Baited Hook to be able to get 5 points here.
Yeah, and that's it. Game 2 is done. That was scooped up there for Nicole. Decided that start was actually just too good. Baited Hook not even needed. Yeah. And Straw Hat Skaarl is going to equal it up in about 3 minutes, I think that game was.
Insane game 2. Arena's Greatest is able to speed it up so much. It looks like game 3 is about to start. I assume LunaNicole is going to go first here. Grove of the God Willow. We saw it earlier. When you hold, able to draw an extra card. And we're also going to be going into Veiled Temple.
Yeah, Veiled Temple's kind of a fun one. When you conquer here, you may ready a friendly gear. If it's an equipment, this is the important part of the text for this deck, you may detach it. This is actually a way for you to detach equipment. Again, some decks, like the Vanguard Armory decks, sometimes like this, you can reactivate Armory. That's pretty sweet. This deck actually wants, weirdly, the unintended function, or the perceived less good function, let's call it. The detaching part actually mattering for moving those equipment around, shuffling the Brutalizers, shuffling the other equipment that Straw Hat Skaarl has access to here, as players are going to land up here for our final game. Round 2, and already we're going to game 3 between, again, 2 Leonas that are 1 and 0.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I would actually, obviously, getting those Brutalizers moving around would be great, but readying a unit would be so interesting in a Baited Hook deck. I just think the Vanguard Captain line, potentially, where you already have those 2 tokens. You could do both, potentially. That being said, only up to 2 might, but still crazy.
You figured it out. That's actually the best use case for it.
Let's go.
It's ready a friendly gear. If it's an equipment, you detach it. Baited Hook, thank you for reminding me yesterday, is a gear. So that is a way to use Baited Hook multiple times in a turn. A single hook, that is immensely powerful. We kind of saw that in the value game, LunaNicole felt pretty comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Baited Hook, pretty good when you do it once. Backbreaking if you can do it more than once a turn. And there's a hook right on time.
Yeah, baited hook immediately coming down here. Game 1 came down at a pretty good speed. Game 2, you didn't even need it to win. Game 3, turn 1, absolutely insane. And we are going to have to see how LunaNicole deals with it, because not only does she have to deal with it immediately after turn 1, she's potentially having to deal with it as well twice a turn. But Leona is already made, also with that Guardian Angel, so it is kind of 2 copies down.
Yeah, it's a pretty big Leona. Going to be a 6 if it stuns a unit thanks to the legend ability. Kill a gear, though, salvaging that Guardian Angel, so no extra protection. And notably, Nicole had to recycle 2 runes to make that play. Played the Leona, but paid a power for both the GA equip and the Leona herself. So not a lot of resources here to work with, and Straw Hat Skaarl's deciding to play a bit slower here, wanting to set up a bigger baited hook turn. They're just saying, you know what, 1 Leona right now, not particularly scary when you only have 4 other runes.
Yeah, he is getting set up, though. He's got that Seal of Unity already in play that can help with this baited hook. We are going to be moving up Leona, though, to that God Willow. Because Straw Hat has no cards in play, as in units in play, hopefully this Leona will be able to draw a card off Grove of the God Willow. I do think there's more draw in this set, too, but especially set 1, if you could get to the single card of Grove of the God Willow, sometimes it could win you the entire game. Yeah,
Grove is a very powerful thing to hold on to, so Lonely Poro going to get deployed as a bit of backup, and it does feel like the Temple is fairly important, but deciding that the card draw is more worth it right now, there's nothing really to contend for, so also no units for Straw Hat Skaarl, so not a lot of potential threat for a conquer right now, so Nicole going to take the early points and try and get ahead kind of in tempo, which I think, given the texture of the first game especially, something this Leona deck kind of needs to be at in this particular Leona matchup. It's not confusing at all. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We do also have a hidden card coming down in that Grove of the God Willow, so I do think we're really committing to holding.
Zhonya's?
Oh, it could be Zhonya's. I would love to see it be a second
Hidden Blade?
Just because it'd be hilarious. But we do have 1 Hidden Blade coming down, threatening this Leona. Okay. It looks like it's actually Emperor's Divide, which is going to help protect this Leona, brings it back to base. And while we're not going to get that hold, we do keep the Leona.
Yeah, enough to stuff the Hidden Blade. Notably, did not get to draw cards this time. So it does look like the card has to actually... I guess it doesn't resolve because it has to kill Leona out of battlefield. Leona's no longer out of battlefield, so it doesn't get the extra bonus that Zhonya's ended up getting, which was quite juicy. But saving maybe your most important unit in your deck feels pretty good.
Yeah, I would say she's kind of determined to survive, but we do finally get Stellarcorn Herder, so Straw Hat is threatening to be able to take points. It's also, with 3 might, potentially threatening that baited hook, but we're going to be the one going up with Lonely Poro into that Vild Temple. I think picking which battlefield to go into here is a little bit interesting in this matchup, because a lot of times you would think Grove of the God Willow is like the higher priority, but if you could actually get 2 baited hooks off, like that's insane. So which one is it?
Oh. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to answer the question of 2 baited hooks because it doesn't matter. Salvage is going to put that baited hook into the bin. 2 points, and the main engine of Straw Hat Skaarl's deck is now deleted from the battlefield, from the base.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to find another one. He did show he has that ability. He had 2 at the end of game 2, but it's definitely painful. Straw Hat said no to the Guardian Angel, and we're saying no to the baited hook.
Yeah, I feel like, both pretty impactful cards. I have to think for the baited hook deck, losing your namesake card feels pretty bad, but a big rune advantage here. This is the thing, like, Nicole is using a lot of power to generate these turns, right? So, definitely has to try and hold here once again to get the early points. I think at this point, like, you are going to get overwhelmed, especially with, against Veiled Temple specifically, because there is so much extra value that this baited hook deck can kind of churn out. So Stellarcorn's going to get to draw another card. Lots of runes in play here to try and make a play. So we'll see what Straw Hat Skaarl lines up. It's simply a Harness Dragon cast the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, nothing wrong with actually paying for your cards. It does mean you won't
I feel targeted. I do not like paying for my cards. I like getting them into play.
I mean, like, it's a lot stronger, not saying word, but sometimes you just pay for your cards. And with it, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this Leona die. So I do assume it is going to go Leona versus giving a draw to the Lonely Poro. But what is the hidden card, I think, is going to be the huge thing here with this playing out.
It could be a Zhonya's, which would be maybe not the best thing. I mean, you kind of have to get through it, so maybe you're just priced in at this point for Straw Hat Skaarl. I did get a peek, though, and I can tell you, it is not a Zhonya's.
Oh, no.
There's almost some level of, like, bluffing happening here where Nicole's presenting a card that is going to protect this Leona, and Harness Dragon says, you know what? Let me see. If it's a Zhonya's, show me. If it's an Emperor's Divide, which I'm pretty sure is what it is, unfortunately, moving away on, like, Hidden Blade does not save the day.
tragic, and it is just like you said. How dare you see the hidden card? It was supposed to be hidden.
It was, sorry. Nicole flashed it a little too far up on the top of the overhead view we have here, but Silicon still going to move in for a point and a card. First point scored here by Straw Hat Skaarl always feels pretty good, but it does feel like with this board, and again with how much investment Nicole made in recycling these runes to kind of get on board, all of a sudden you seem woefully behind.
Yeah, 3 runes going to 5 just does not feel enough when you're going into to a player that already had 8 runes. They are stuck at 8 again after paying 2. No, they only had to pay 1 because of the seal. Yeah, well, man, seals are just too strong.
Seals are pretty good, as it turns out.
Yeah, going to 5 versus going to 9. Yeah, 9 is just so, it does not feel a good spot to be in.
No, we'll see how much play Nicole has here with the cards in her hand. Pyro did at least score a point. Again, very far ahead on points as well. So can maybe try and navigate to a position where can look to score those last 2 points. But the units that Baited Hook Leona is going to present, it's going to generally be a lot bigger and have a lot more impact when they're played, right? Leona wants to kind of combine a lot of cards. Here's Sona actually to reinforce this battlefield, trying to deny some value from the hidden temple and just say, you know what, I'm willing to hold up all my runes and I am not leaving this battlefield until one of us wins this game. Hopefully it's me.
Yeah, and I think Sona somewhat like kind of solves that problem you mentioned where we do not have the runes that Straw Hat does, but she has a really unique ability where when she's at a battlefield, not holds, not conquers, but you're able to ready 4 friendly units at the beginning, or not the beginning turn, at the end of your turn, which means as we go into Straw Hat Skaarl's turn, wow, we would have only had 1 up. We now have 4 that he has to, account for with the Harnessed Dragon, with these different cards he has if he wants to take Guild Temple.
Yeah, trading back the Poro to base, actually, so wanting that maybe for a future turn. Stellarcorn Hoarder got the point for holding, now going to move back to relative safety and draw a card after scoring the points. Stellarcorn Hoarder, maximum points once again. Not quite the overperformer that our Plundering Poro was earlier, as Hidden Blade is going to be targeted at this Sona, but 4 runes open, lots of spells Nicole can have here to deny this.
Lots and lots of spells, and it is only at battlefields as we saw a couple turns ago, so that is to remember. It will also, though, if we can't find a way to stay there, Harnessed Dragon could just move up. We'll have to see here. It does look like we are going to use 2 of our runes to Discipline. We're going to draw off of it. It will leave 2 up. Is there something we can do? 1 more? Does what here? No? Okay, +2. We got our draw. Trying to think what we're looking for with the 2 runes up to be able to save the Sona.
Defy and Not So Fast would both work here. Unfortunately, Not So Fast in particular wouldn't mean that Sona can win her subsequent combat with the Harnessed Dragon. So kind of need like a Defy and an On Guard here, just thinking about the tools that are generally in arsenals. There's no buff either, so we don't have Call to Glory as an option to maybe use here. That would be really nice, but haven't stunned anything yet. It's just kind of been, removal traded back and forth. There is the Defy, so that's going to stop the Hidden Blade. But does Sona have another plan? Because that Harnessed Dragon's going to come rumbling in right about now.
On the plus side, they're both 6-6 right now, so you would have to sacrifice the Harnessed Dragon, but he's kind of done his job. His job was to kill the Leona, and he succeeded at it.
Certainly did. So will the Dragon ride on into the Veiled Temple? Won't get a conquer. No Baited Hook to speak of just yet, but perhaps I've spoken a little too soon.
3 for 1.
Vanguard Captain. There's 2 cards in this deck that could be for the cost, and it's the less fun one, but still the very good one.
It's the one that really develops your base, though, which is just so strong. And when we do find the Baited Hook, could be really nice.
It's a bluff. That's the thing I'm trying to think now. Oh, never mind. Death Grip is going to be like, I don't care what you have. I'm just going to go ahead, rumble on in, draw a card, sacrifice my unit, which, Vanguard Captain already kind of did the job, left 2 units behind. Going to make this dragon even bigger than the On Guard that could be lying in wait, and rumble on in to try and conquer the Veiled Temple, and Sona goes goodbye.
Sona goes bye-bye, while Death Grip also gets that extra card.
Really sweet card, though.
I love it. It's great in his ear.
It is great in his ear. I was going to say, I think my problem with Death Grip is it's kind of hard to find decks that really want to utilize it. Baited Hook Leona, obviously one that does want to. I think that just means I'm not playing the decks that want to utilize it.
Yeah, I think with these decks that just generate so many different units or are cool with killing their own units, it does find a nice place in it. And it doesn't cost power, which is really nice as well.
Yeah, I saw Yellow Darius once again is Salvage going to take out the Seal here. Almost just to cycle this at this point. I mean, not bad to try and push your opponent off future power costs, because you have to pay quite a few to power the engine that is this Baited Hook, or even things like follow-up Harnessed Dragons. But it just feels like at this point, the board states just don't feel equal. Even though the points are still in your favor, it's a lonely Poro versus the world right now.
It is a lonely Poro against the world, and we don't really have the runes that Straw Hat has. I guess we are slowly crawling our way back. It is, another card draw as well. I wonder how LunaNicole will be able to, I don't want to say bring this back because we are ahead in points, but it definitely feels like behind when it comes to the board
Yeah,
state.
it feels like getting to 6 and then having a setup turn and then playing for a double conquer feels like kind of the line you're looking to navigate here. Getting to 5 is okay, but obviously it's not the point value you'd like to be at when we're genuinely playing to even numbers of points. And there's going to be more to come here. Brutalizer out of Straw Hat Skaarl. That Darius, by the way, Legion, Ready Me, other units get +1 here. So that Darius represents not just a lot of might on the Darius side, but a lot of might with this very wide board. As Telecon Herder going to move on in, draw a card, and challenge the lonely Poro.
Lonely Poro. Yeah, getting to also get that Darius down when you're trying to hold on Grove is so nice. And there are other units that we can move up there, like those recruits. I don't know that we'll see it, but it definitely can get a lot of value off that Darius.
Looks like 5 points right now. Straw Hat Skaarl still a little behind on the point race, but catching up pretty rapidly, it feels like. Here's a hook.
Ooh, there's a hook.
Does have to pay power now. Doesn't have the seal that we invested in earlier.
But now we do have the seal.
Oh, it's so back.
Yeah, we just got it back. Let's go.
And then here's the unsung hero. This might be... Oh, it didn't do it. Didn't want to activate the hook this time. Brutalizer actually, notably, still attached to the Steelcon, so he couldn't do the fun thing with unsung hero. Instead, just going to pass back with, what's that? 5 units and a bunch of might over with both battlefields being held. Seems fine.
Seems fine. I feel like we're in a good board state. We're sitting pretty here. And I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we could, see the Unveiled Temple or the Build Temple being used just in the way that you mentioned earlier with that detach instead of actually using it to run a baited hook twice.
Fortunately, already held at the temple, which means Nicole passed back with 6 runes and no plays. I said getting to 6 and taking a setup turn might be the thing you have to do. I don't think there's a way out of this game for Nicole. Channel some runes, draws a card, doing the pleasantries.
We checked for it. Okay.
Oh. Not so fast.
All those things.
That hand is not it, and that should be game here for Straw Hat Skaarl. The shake of the hand does go across the table, and baited hook Leona is undefeated at the Las Vegas Regional Qualifier. Exactly the sentence you expected to hear today.
Yeah, I mean, I think this went exactly how everyone expected today's tournament to go. Leona baited hook, maybe the best deck in format.
I like that Nicole's bantering back to her friends. Hey, look, I won the first game. Okay, it was going well. Everything was okay, but unfortunately at the end, baited hook Leona was enough to kind of push it over. I mean, game 2, very fast, just kind of a blazingly fast start. But then you kind of see, the engine that this deck assembles being very powerful. And again, this is kind of a thing with decks like Leona where you have a lot of interaction spells and you have a lot of units. If you draw a mix, you usually feel pretty good. If you draw all of one and none of the other, feels kind of bad.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened in Game 3, sadly. But great job by both of these Leona players. It was so cool to see just how you can build them differently and how they can succeed in those different games.
Well, I would love to hear more about how that deck was built, and there's no better person than the winner of our last match who we have an interview with.
All right, I'm here with Straw Hat Skaarl, fresh off a victory in a Leona mirror. First things first, I gotta ask you, why Leona?
I mean, realistically, I was kind of thinking not a lot of people are going to be on Leona. I played Leona a ton in solo queue after she came out. So playing a little bit of a different list, though. We're on baited hook. Just, I don't know. Regular Leona package feels so bad into such a removal-heavy meta, so I just figured baited hook was something that no one's going to see, and sure enough, now people saw it, I guess. It didn't really, it worked, but,
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit about this match in particular. I mean, it's a Leona mirror that can be a little dicey just due to, there's shield and then stun, so there's offensive and defensive pressure. How do you feel your hook deck was faring? Did you get any advantages from being hook versus not being hook?
Yeah, so I think it was game 1, definitely, I hit a Harness Dragon off the top, which is really nice. It's really hard into traditional Leona sometimes with my setup because we're looking at GA, Zanya's, Emperor's Divide, all of the ways to save everything. I mean, it's everything in green, right? Just saves everything and not so fast. And she not so fast with the Harness Dragon, which was excellent play by her. Game 2 started with Arena Greatest and led with just Vanguard Captain Seal. So it was kind of just cooked from the start. I was at 5 in 3 minutes. It was over on that one. And then game 3, I just drew every single piece of removal that I sided in, and it was just Call of the Week, Hidden Blade, and she just couldn't keep a unit on the battlefield. So I think overall, a lot of decks that we're seeing right now that are really good are token decks, because a lot of removal hits like one thing or two things like Singularity. It's like they're not going to spend a Singularity on 2 tokens normally, or if they spend it on my stuff, I Death Knell and it gets back, or I draw, or whatever. But I think stuff that really hurts it is like Bellows Breath, obviously. That hits a lot of stuff. I don't know. Tried the pre-regional last night, and it was fine, but I don't know. We'll see if we can shoot for a best of.
All right, well, good luck with that, and thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on the win, and good luck in the rest.
Thank you.
Now we'll send it right on back to the desk.